Boker Tov, good morning everyone. Be'ezrat Hashem, we are Daf Lamed Dale Avodah Zarah, Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. We are 4 lines from the top. So we were discussing yesterday how there was a machloket between, or not a machloket, there was a difference when it came to Nodot Yain, that we said that that they would be allowed, meaning the certain colors would be allowed, the red and black would be allowed, but we saw by Pesach that he didn't allow it at all, meaning the whole thing was merema. He said that by Yain Nesach would be allowed, but by Pesach it wouldn't be allowed. So the Gemara asks, Maishna, the 4th line from the top, Maishna mi Yain Nesach de darash lehu merema, kulehu mani de kunya shari. Okay, so he said, what's the difference by Pesach? Why by Yain Nesach did he say everything is allowed? And we saw just previously that what? That by Chametz bePesach it was Asur. So says the Gemara, Chametz deoraita. If you're going to try to tell me that, you know why he said by Chametz it's going to be Asur? Because Chametz is deoraita. Yain Nesach derabanan. Yain Nesach is only derabanan. That's why they weren't as machmir. Says the Gemara, that can't be. Why not? V'ha kol detakun rabanan ke'en deoraita takun. Since when Chachamim make their gzera, they make it like the deoraita, meaning they're not going to start changing things around. So if they were going to make it asur, they should have made it asur just like chametz b'pesach, which means that it should be completely asur. Right? Says the Gemara. Ze tashmisho bechamin, v'ze tashmisho betzonen. Answers the Gemara, no, there's a difference. The difference is that by Pesach, how do we usually use the utensils? By cooking, which means with heat. For Yain Nesach, you're not usually going to be cooking the meat, the wine. What is it going to be? Cold. It's going to be cold. So we know that the rule is when it comes to balua, when it comes to absorbing things, how do things absorb? With heat. Right? So by heat, if it's absorbed with heat, he says it's a much stronger absorption. Therefore, by chametz, by Pesach, you're not able to take it out. Whereas where it's going to be yain nesech, then we're going to allow you to take it out because it was through cold. Rabbi Akiva, ikla leginzak. Rabbi Akiva came to the city of Ginzak. Ba'u minei, they asked him a question: Mit'anin leshaot or en mit'anin leshaot? Are we able to be mita'aneh l'shaot or not? By the way, the Tosfot, he says over here on the side that it wasn't actually Rabbi Akiva, it was Mag Ukva. Okay, why? Because he just says like, how can Rabbi Akiva not know the halacha for this? So it was Mag Ukva that went to Ginzak, and he says Rabbi Akiva was a Tana. It can't be that he didn't know these halachot. So they asked him, mitanin l'shaot or no? Are you able to make a fast for hours or not? What does that mean? What that means is, are you able to make a partial fast? Like you fast a couple of hours in the morning. Is that going to be considered like a fast or not? Exactly. Okay. And then we saw with Yerovam. Sorry, not Yerovam. Who was the king? With Achav. Hara'item et Achav. Right? That Achav, he was only fasting he pushed off his meal by 3 hours. He pushed off his meal from 9 hours to 12. From 3 hours of the day that he normally wakes up, he pushed it off to 6 hours, which was till 12, which is midday. And Kadosh Baruch Hu says that you see his ta'anit in front of him. No? Kankanim shel oved kochavim. That was the first halacha. Can you fast for hours or not? Lo hava biyadeh. He didn't know the answer. Kankanim shel ovdei kochavim asurim umutarim. So they asked him once again, the jugs of oved kochavim, can they be used or not? He didn't. Lo hava biyadeh. He didn't know the answer. Moshe kol shivat yamei haminuim. What garments did Moshe Rabbeinu use during the shivat yamei haminuim, the 7 first days of the Beit Hamikdash? What did he use? Meaning, did he use the begadim of Kohen Ediot? Did he use the begadim of Kohen Gadol because he was doing the service of Kohen Gadol? Which clothes did he use? Lo have biyadeh. He didn't know. Ata sha'al b'midrash. So he came to the Beit Midrash and he asked them in the Beit Midrash. Amri, they told him, hilchata, the halacha is mitani neshanot, you're able to fast for hours. V'im ishlim mitparel tefilat tanit, and if he completes the fast, he's gonna do tefillah ta'anit. V'hinchita, another halacha, kankanim shel ovdei kochavim leachar yud bet chodesh mutarim. The jugs of oved kochavim of goyim would be mutar after 12 months. Be'emesh shimesh Moshe shivat yimei aminuim. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do the service with during shivat yimei aminuim? The 7 days of inauguration. Bechaluk lavan, with a white robe, meaning not Bigdei Kohen Ragin and not Bigdei Kohen Gadol. It was a special robe that he wore for the occasion. Okay, Rav Kahana Matni. Rav Kahana says Bechaluk Lavan she'en bo imra. It was with a white robe that didn't have any seams. Okay, that's how Moshe Rabbeinu did the service. Hachatzanim ve'azagim shel ovdei kochavim. We learned in the Mishnah the chatzanim, the pits and the peels, okay, of the oved kochavim. Tanu Rabbanan, hachatzanim ve'azagim shel ovdei kochavim, lachim asurim, viveshim mutarim. If they are moist, they're going to be asur, and if they're dry, they're going to be allowed. Says the Gemara, haininu lachin vehaininu yeveshin. What's considered to be moist and what's considered to be dry? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, lachin. What's considered to be moist? Kol yud bet chodesh. Throughout the first 12 months of him using it. Yeveshim, what's considered dry? Nachal yud bet chodesh, after 12 months. Itmar, Amar Rabba bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba bar Chana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Keshehen asurin, afilu bana'a. Whenever we tell you about the yain nesech and all these things, that it's asur afilu bana'a, it's even from benefiting, it's asur. Keshehen mutarin, but when we tell you that it's mutarin afilu ba'achila, you're even able to eat it. Okay? Amar Rav Zvid, hi, durdiya de chamra, the sediments of the wine, the armai of the goyim, batar teresa yache shata, after 12 months, shari, it's going to be allowed. Amar Rav Chaviva bere de Rava, hani gulfe, these gulfe is a type of it's a type of utensil. It's a type of utensil. Okay. Batar tresa yache shata. Once again, after 12 months, shari, it's going to be allowed. Okay. So now we're going to go through. The Gemara is going to go through a list of different utensils that once again it's going to be mutar after 12 months. Okay. Amar Rav Chaviva says, Hi avta. Okay, the ta'ya. This it's like it's something made out of, it's once again a utensil. It's made out of or no leather. Okay, and the Rashi said kolin oto butin. Okay, so it's a leather. Yeah, it's something leather that they would use. The kanina they would also put in their wine. Okay, batar tresar yache shata. Once again, after 12 months, it's going to be mutar. Amar Rav Acha berei de Rav Ika hani purtzani de armai. Okay, the once again it's psolet shel anavim. Rashi says. Okay, he says the leftovers of the grape is of a goy after 12 months is going to be mutar. Rav Acha berei de Rava hani gulfi shechimi v'uchmi. Okay, so these, he says, the red and black jugs of wine. Okay, batar tresar shata yache shari. Once again, they're going to be allowed after 12 months. V'hamuriyas. So we saw that muriyas was I think it was fish. Fish, like like a small dish of fish with oil and a bunch of things. So hamuriyas. Tanu Rabbanan, hamuriyas uman mutar. The muriyas of a expert, okay, is going to be allowed. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda ben Gamliel omer mishum Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel af chilek uman mutar. Even the chilek of a craftsman, of an expert, is going to be mutar. Chilek is a type of fish. apparently, that while it's young, it doesn't have fins and scales. But as it grows older, it gets fins and scales. So now we're afraid. What are we normally afraid of? We're normally afraid that there's going to be not kosher fish that don't have fins and scales, and that they can be mixed up in this chirek fish. So the chidush over here is that if it's an uman, it's going to be allowed. Why is it going to be allowed? If it's going to be an expert, it's going to be allowed. Why? Because apparently the not kosher fish, it ruins the taste. And the expert, he wants to make sure that everything is perfect. He's not going to play around. He's not going to play around, not because he's afraid of kosher, but because he wants the taste to be proper. No, Tani Avimi Bere de Rabbi Abau. Avimi, the son of Rabbi Abau, taught Murias Uman Mutar. Okay, the murias of a craftsman is going to be allowed. Hu tanila v'hu amarla. Okay, he's the one that taught it, and he's the one that said what? Pam rishon v'sheni mutar, shlishi asur. The first and second time that the goy is making the murias is going to be allowed. In this utensil, it's going to be allowed. But the third time that he makes it, asur. It's going to be asur. Why? My tama. Why? The first and second time that there's a lot of oil in it, he doesn't need to put in it wine. But from there on, meaning from the second time on, after the second time onwards, the guy is going to put inside of it wine in order to remove some of the sharp taste, which is normally protected by the oil. But since it's already the first and second time, the oil has less of an effect. Okay, hahu alba demuyasa. There was this boat full of muyas. The ati lenimila de Akko, that came to the port of Akko. Otiv Rabbi Abao demin Akko neturi behada. So Rabbi Abba from Akko put a shomer, put a guard to make sure that they're not going to add in any yain nesech. Amar le Rava, ad ha'ina man natra. So Rava said, wait a second, what are you being so careful? They came to the port, and now you're putting a shomer. What happened the whole way? You could have easily put it then. Amar le ad ha'idna nechushla lema nechushla. Okay? What should we be afraid of? Imishum kista dechamra. What are we afraid of? Him putting in a little bit of wine. Why? He says, sorry. Imishum demar, sorry, I skipped the line. Imishum demar vebechamra, that he mixed in it wine. Kista demoyas beluma. Kista dechamra be'albalumi. He said, what are you afraid of? On the way here, if they were going to mix in wine, how much is kista? Was a small type of measurement. A measurement of the muliyas, how much was it? He says beluma, one type of coin, right? But wine is worth four times that amount. So he says, what? You think that the goy is going to want to put the yain inside? It's not going to be worth it for him. Okay, just the wine is already four times the amount. So that's one answer. Therefore, he wasn't afraid during the journey, but afterwards he was afraid. Okay, maybe they passed through the place of tzur. The shavi chamra, that the wine is the same price as the muya. So how do you know that they didn't pass through tzur, right? Amarle hatam ikuli ufashuri ika. No, over there he said there's whirlpools, and there's also yeah, types of, I guess there was a very strong current over there from the melting snow, right? Shuri is the melted the melted snow, I guess, from the mountains and everything like that causes a lot of water. Therefore, it's very dangerous to go to those ports, so they wouldn't stop over there. Okay, so therefore we're not choshesh that they went to tzul to mix in the wine in the muhyas. Okay, v'gvinat bet unaki. Okay, we learned in the Mishnah that it's also asul the cheeses that comes from the place of unaki. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Okay, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish taught. מפני מה אסור גבינת אונקיי? Why did they make this cheese אסור? מפני שרוב עגלים של אותה העיר נשחטים לעבודת כוכבים. Because the majority of the עגלים, the calves that come from that city, are slaughtered for עבודה זרה. Says the Gemara, מה עיר רוב עגלים? Why do you have to say that the majority of the agalim are slaughtered for Oved Kochavim over there? Afilu miut nami. Even if it's just a little, bit. Why? The Rabbi Meir, chayish li miuta. Because Rabbi Meir would always suspect for the minority. So Rabbi Meir would say, even though the minority right now is what? The minority is that maybe it's Avodah Zarah, but Rabbi Meir is choshesh that it's the minority. So says the Gemara, you know why? We had to say that it's the Rov. I amat Rov, ika miut. I amat Rov, ika miut. Okay, because if you say the Rov, there's for sure going to be the miut. Okay? Ela I amat miut, but if you're only going to say that we're choshesh because of the miut, kevan de ika rov aganim de en ishchatin lavodat kochavim. You have what? Rov aganim that are not actually sacrificed for the Oved Kochavim. V'ika nami shal behemot. The any shchatin avodat kochavim. And besides for the aganim, you have also sheep, goats, all those things that are not for Oved Kochavim. Havale mi'ud de mi'uta lachaish Rabbi Meir. So he says, in this case, it's going to be what? You're going to have a mi'ut. That what? That there are some aganim that are slaughtered for Avodah Kochavim, and most that aren't. Okay, so that's already one miut. Then, even in the agalim that are slaughtered, you have. Don't forget that you don't only get milk from the agalim. You also get milk from sheep. You also get milk from goats, right? So it's gonna be a miut of a miut, two miuts, and even a miut in a miut. Rabbi Meir says that you're not going to be choshesh. Therefore, we had to say rov agalim and not miut agalim. טוב, אמר לי רבי שמעון בר אליקים לרבי שמעון בן לקיש, כי נשחטים לעבודת כוכבים, מה יהווה? What do we care? Okay, they were slaughtered for עבודת כוכבים. The cow was slaughtered, but I have the milk, I have the cheese. What's the difference? While it was still alive, who said that it's going to be, like, what's the problem? But and you, on the contrary, you were the one that would allow something like this. Why? The itmal, as you taught, השוחט את הבהמה לזרוק דמה לעבודת כוכבים, להקטיר חלבה לעבודת כוכבים, if a person slaughters an animal in order to burn its fat for עבודת כוכבים, okay? Or to sprinkle its blood to the Oved Kochavim. Rabbi Yochanan says, Asura, the whole animal is Asur. Kasavar, Mechashvin me'avodah le'avodah. We compare the services together, and then the whole animal is going to be Asur. V'yarfinan chutz mifnim. And we learn that if something was that you want to do something outside of the permitted place, and you do it inside, it's also going to be Asur. V'Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish amar, muteret. He says it's going to be mutar. So we see that Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says that what? Even if you only want to do part of the animal for Avodah Zarah, it doesn't make the rest of the animal for Avodah Zarah. So why over here did he say that the gvinot are going to be asul because they were offered to Oved Kochavim? So he says, Amar le, Talminach sha'atach be'omer bigmar zevicha hu avodah. Okay, so he said to him that Talminach sha'atach. He says you have a good mazal, right? Why? He says because over here the reason why I made the difference is because over here he says that he means to that the whole animal should be sacrificed for avodah zarah. So whereas before, when he said that it's going to be mutar, it was only talking about specific things that we're doing for avodah zarah. For example, he kills the animal, and then he wants to bring the fat for the avodah zarah. He wants to only sprinkle the blood for avodah zarah. So for that, he said, he wants to bring the fat, let him bring the fat. The rest of the animal is a mutar. But over here, when he said it's a sul, he was referring to doing shechita on the whole animal. Doing shechita on the whole animal, that's going to be a sul. Okay, that's going to make everything asur. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Sha'al Rabbi Ishmael. Okay, so we said in the Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda asked Rabbi Ishmael. Now, Amar Rav Achadvoi. Amar Rav Hamekadesh Beferesh Shor She'aniskal Mikudeshet. Someone who wants to do kiddushin with the, I don't know why he would even think of doing something like this, but he wanted to do it with the excrement of Shor Haniskal. Okay, so it has a shaveh puta, right? Because it can be used for certain things. It can be used for as fertilizer. It can be whatever. So he takes this and he tells the woman, with this excrement. Okay, mikudeshet. It's going to be mikudeshet, even though it's going to be shor haniskal, which is asur be'ana'ah. Beferash egle avodot kochavim, but if it's the excrement of a cow that's for avodah zarah, it's not going to be. She's not going to be mikudeshet. Why? It says the Gemara, I can either give you a svara, a logic behind it, or I can give you a pasuk. What's the logic behind it? Gabe egle avod kochavim nichale benafche. So he says by avodat kochavim, what happens? The fatter the animal looks, the fatter the animal is, the nicer it looks for avodah zarah. So the excrement, while it's still in the animal, he's happy. He's happy for it. Why? Because it makes it look better for the avodah zarah. Therefore, the excrement is also going to be asur for avodah zarah. Aval gabe shor haniskal lo nichale benafche. By shor haniskal, he doesn't care about how it looks. Okay, it's big, it's skinny. It doesn't make a difference for him. Therefore, the excrement wouldn't be considered part of the animal. And what's the pasuk that can prove this? It says in one place, Lo yidbak biyadecha me'uma. You shall not touch anything of it. Viktiv hatam, and it says by shor haniskal, sakor yisakel hashor velo yachel et besaro. Okay, so by avodah zarah, what does it say? It says lo yidbak biyadecha me'uma. Nothing. You can't put your hand on anything. You can't touch your hand on anything of the avodah zarah. But by shor haniskal, what does it say? Shor haniskal, it says that all he does lo yachel et besaro. He doesn't have to eat the. He's not allowed to eat the meat. Besaro asur ha pirsho muteret. So the basar is going to be what's asur, but everything else is going to be allowed. Okay. Amar Rava says, Tavayu tenanahi. Both of them were learned in a Mishnah. Midika Amarle, because how do you know? Because from the fact that it was say, Mipene Shemamidin bekevat nevela, okay, vehadar ka'amarle, ve'alo kevat ola chamura mekevat nevela. Because how did we start in the Mishnah? We started saying because the reason why the cheeses of the goy is going to be asur because they make it with the rennet of a not kosher of a nevela. And then what does the Mishnah say? But the Mishnah wants to prove that what kevat ola is going to be more chamur, and yet we still see that it's allowed, right? So we see from there Michlal Suri Hanaa Sharu Pirshayu, that even though it's going to be Asur Hanaa, the Peresh, the whatever comes out is going to be allowed. Okay? So because why? The Ola is Asur Be'anaa, right? And yet we still see that if a person wants to eat the rennet of the Ola, it's not a problem. We saw that from the Mishnah, right? Umipene from that which we said, okay, so and from the fact that we saw that the reason why it's asur is because the reason why at the end of the day, why did we say the gvinot of the goyim are asur in the Mishnah? Why? because ma'amidim otam bekeva egle avodat kochavim, because they give it from the rennet of cows that are for avodah zarah. So what do we see? We see that we see that the perish, the excrement, the waste of the animal, the of that's for avodah kochavim, it's going to be asur. So from the Mishnah itself, we see that it's going to be asur. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue tomorrow. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.